Hello boys and girls, how are you today? This is JC, and once again I bring you another yo-yo review, and today I'm very excited I've been waiting to do this one for a while because if you recognize, this is the Sleipnir by Yoyorecreation. I don't think Yoyorecreation needs any introduction, and hopefully neither does the Sleipnir, but that's because the Sleipnir is one of the most iconic yo-yos in the history of modern yo-yos. And if you've been playing for a while, you probably know why. And if you haven't, please bear with me. I will go a little bit into this. So the Sleipnir the prototype was first released in 2009, I believe. That was when Shinya Kido used it to win Worlds. And that was the time when everyone was onto their 888s. Right? 888 was kind of the standard yo-yo back then. And man, we were just obsessed with it. And so were all the other manufacturers, right? They all used 888 as their benchmark. So we were all playing with little yo-yos, except there's this one company in Japan which used to be called 44 Recreation, Yoyorecreation. They were going big. They were making things like the Sleipnir, like the Dreadnought. And I remember in 2010, a friend of mine bought a Sleipnir, and I tried it. I was like, what is this? What is this garbage? None of my tricks work with this thing. And that was because all my tricks I learned with the 888 or something similar. And the Sleipnir was just so different than the 888. But nowadays, looking back, we know that those, now what we call them undersized yo-yos nowadays. We know that they are kind of a sidestep in terms of the development of yo-yos. I'm not sure why we went there, but it was fun, but definitely not the best direction to go. And nowadays, this is basically the standard. If you look at yo-yos that are, again, I'll bring out the shutter because everyone has a shutter. You can see that they're pretty similar in terms of specs, right? The shutter is a little bit wider, just a little bit, but pretty close. And if you look at something that just came out this year, a few months ago, the Berserker Decade by C3, you can see how similar they are. Again, just slightly bigger, slightly wider. Yeah, so this yo-yo from 2009 it basically set the standard for modern yo-yos for the next 10 years, next 12 years. Now, a small disclaimer, this is not the 2009 version of the Sleipnir. This is a re-release from 2015, but the shape is really similar. Like the dimensions are almost identical, and the new one is a little bit more rounded. And there are people who claim that the old Sleipnir play better than the new one, but I can't confirm nor deny that. But even if it did, I mean, it's probably a pretty minor difference because this Sleipnir is already a beast. Now this feels a bit heavy on the string once you get it onto the string, but then when you start doing tricks, when you start doing those big, speedier combos, the momentum just carries the yo-yo. It feels so nice. It still feels a little bit heavy, but it's not gonna get in the way of you speeding up at all. Now, one thing it's not the best at is because it does have a lot of momentum. It's not amazing at those little hops. If you want to do a lot of change, like sudden change in direction, especially if it's within a smaller region, you can feel a lot of weight from this yo-yo. It can feel pretty heavy. But for anything else, the Sleipnir is just amazing. Again, it's made of 7075 aluminum. I'm not sure. I believe it does allow the yo-yo to have slightly more extreme weight distribution, but this thing feels like a bimetal. It can definitely keep up with a bimetal with how stable it is, with how powerful it is, and it just keeps going. And it's hard to believe that this was a design from 13 years ago. And once again, I always say this, I believe yo-yo design has plateaued, and that might just be because Yoyorecreation was so far ahead of its time, right? If Yoyorecreation didn't exist, maybe we would kind of, have a Tora, we go undersized, maybe we go undersized super wide, and we go here and there, and then eventually we get to this point in 2020, right? But Yoyorecreation just decided to time travel. They released the best monometal Sleipnir, they released the best bimetal Dropnir, and that's it. And these two yo-yos, they defined the yo-yo world for a decade and more, which is amazing, crazy to think about. And in terms of design, this is honestly beautiful. Now, one thing I I can complain about Yoyorecreation, aside from their price, is that their yo-yos are not the prettiest, in my opinion. Especially with some of their older models, like including the Sleipnir, their logos are just, they don't look that good. But this Sleipnir, with its kind of geometry, horsey thing, it's honestly beautiful. And look at the finish. It's like a gunmetal black, and it's with a 7075 body. There's no zero imperfections. It's so good, and it's beautiful, especially combined with this logo design. It's I think one of the most aesthetically pleasing yo-yos I own. And I own a lot of yo-yos. This retailed for, oh, before I go into that, actually, there's just a small problem with this Sleipnir is the response system. I did feel the response was a little bit finicky, because with the original pads, it didn't work quite as well. It was just a little, I felt a little bit sticky. So I played around with different combinations, and eventually I got to this kind of IR pad combined with some other pad with kitty string fat. And that, the yo-yo is perfect. I believe it might have to do with my incompetence, but I've played with a lot of yo-yos, and this is the only one where I had to play with the response system to get it to my desired state. So that might be an issue. Not too sure, but that's something I can think of to kind of complain about. But once it's set up, man, this is incredible. This yo-yo is a beast. So anyways, the price, it retailed at $150 American dollars, which is ridiculous for a monometal, because nowadays, and the standard for monometal is like somewhere between 35 to 55. And if you charge more than 60, more than 55, 60 for a monometal, it better be something special. And this, 150. Of course, the times are different, but man, I don't know. It's pretty expensive. Sure, it's got a few things going for it. This was machined in Japan. It's 7075 aluminum, and it's a beast. Incredible build quality and performance. And it's probably, I think I would consider this to be a collector's piece. It's probably one of the most iconic yo-yos again. So, I mean, you can't find it for retail anyways, and nowadays I'm not sure how much it is on the secondary market, maybe 100, maybe 200, but either way, it's something that, yeah, if you really like yo-yos, it's something you can try to just feel something from 10 years ago. How can something from 10 years ago perform like a Sleipnir does now? It's mind-blowing. Anyways, I've been rambling. Thank you for sticking with me. I will see you in my next review. Bye.